Welcome to The Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network. I'm Chad Millman of the Action Network. I'm live from my remote Tommy John home studio. Listeners may know, last night went to Bulls Knicks at MSG. An exciting Bulls last second win. They covered the 8.5. The Millman boys went home happy. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Chad, what a great day today. A good football day. It's going to be 40 degrees tonight in Philly for this playoff matchup between the Commanders. I'm so jealous about
As you
going.
know, yes, because I am on night 2 of the Millman Sportacular. Last night, me and my son, Bulls Knicks at MSG. Tonight, we're going down to Philly. We'll go to dinner with my older son at Drexel, and then we will go to Eagles Commanders. I'm a little worried. It's going to be colder than I thought. I'm not sure I brought the right coat. I'm going to have to rally. I'll wear my Drexel hoodie. But dude,
I can warm you up. I might be coming for the tailgate, brother. It'll be
No.
a good time. I'm thinking about it. I'm tempted.
Dude, if you do, we can discuss offline.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, there was a very interesting story. I want to talk about something that I read in the Wall Street Journal yesterday,
Yeah.
because we've talked about like the challenges that everybody has faced as bettors this year. The public and the favorites have been winning so much. So this week and the last week is earnings weeks for a lot of publicly traded companies, where they are reporting how they've done in the previous quarter, in this case, usually the third quarter. That includes the sports betting operators, and two of the largest in the United States. I'm not going to name them, but everyone knows who they are. They both reported in their most recent earnings calls over the past 2 weeks, they've had to reduce their revenue expectations for the rest of 2024 because of what one of them called euphemistically customer-friendly outcomes, which is a very nice way of saying the public has been crushing it this year because favorites have been covering at an extraordinary clip, so much that has cost operators literally hundreds of millions of dollars. One of them reported revenue would be reduced by about 250 million, the other by about 50 million. To put a finer point on it, during the week of Halloween, the industry's hold rate, which is essentially what they earn after payouts, was just 2%. Normally, closer to 10%. So that gives you like a real fine point on how much the public has been winning this year. We've talked about it a lot. It doesn't always get discussed. Like in our business, a lot of professional bettors like to be on the side of these books, right? The books and the bettors like to root for underdogs. They like to bet underdogs. The books will make their money when underdogs win. Pros historically are playing dogs. Books historically like it when favorites lose. So all of that is made for a fascinating year. Some of the publicly traded operators laid bare with earnings this week. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
As someone who is a professional bettor, I know, look, we've had tremendous success, and my philosophy in this has always been identify where I think the public markets are going to be overinflated and then play the other side, and then look for the opportunities to play underdogs. Obviously, that's been much more challenging this year. What are your thoughts on all this?
And I mean, just on that point, what you're talking about right now is it's usually when we're playing it, it's because we're getting an extra point or 2 points of free value just because the books have to move a number so much to get professional money. Now, what I love about this story is these two books kind of thought they reinvented the wheel and they banned professional bettors quick. They're some of the quickest bans I ever received with these books we're talking about. Now they're realizing why these books take professional money. It helps you balance your book. Their number wouldn't be as negative as it is if they would take professional money. So I'm hoping they learn from it. Will they? No. These guys are really stuck in their ways right now, and we all know that. So maybe this won't help change it right now, but I do think down the road they'll learn from these lessons of you should take professional money. We aren't the end all and be all negative thing to your book, right? We are going to make money off of you, but in times like this, we help balance your books. You don't look like a complete idiot to your bosses. So that was my biggest takeaway from it. There's a lot of reasons these other books aren't as negative as these other books are to start the season because of that. So that was my biggest takeaway for sure from it.
Yeah, look, you're totally right. Getting banned is a massive issue for professional bettors, and it's a constant conversation and topic for people who are in the community. Nate Silver actually wrote a book this summer that came out this summer called On the Edge, and he has a chat. It's all about sort of the art of risking everything. It's a phenomenal book. I freaking loved it. And sports betting is a very small part of it. But he did write extensively about how quickly operators ban anyone they think is an advantage player, a plus EV player that they quickly identify as better.
But we talked about there's ways we've gotten around it, right? The whole throwing random parlays in there, doing favorite parlays. Like we've figured out their AI and what they've done as well, but it is a stain on the industry that any professional bettor that's been doing it long enough hates it, because there was a rhythm and a romance between the bettors and the guys in Vegas, right? There was friendships. It was just a different era. Now that's been totally gone because everything's digital. And this to me is something that's needed to have hopefully bring these new books around to why things were the way they were before the national legalization.
Well, look, this is a great off-season topic. As everybody knows, I wrote a best-selling book called The Odds about the life of professional bettors in Vegas and the interplay they have with operators and how that is a symbiotic relationship, and what the bettors get out of it in terms of first crack at lines and what the operators get out of it. Back then, they weren't operators. They were just bookmakers, by letting people pound the lines into shape, and the risk that everyone is willing to take. And they're communicating with each other. They're leaning on each other. They're learning from each other. That sort of, relationship, I think, is diminished. But listen, enough being erudite and literate. Let's get to some freaking games. Today is our NFL Week 11 Best Bets episode. Simon and I will narrow down our 5 picks and the favorites. $100,000 Pro Football Pick'em contest presented by Bet365. Sign up now. Favorites.actionnetwork.com. We're going to give out our foxhole. We're going to give out our Tommy John Big Balls Bet of the Week. We're going to discuss Simon's biggest bets, our boosted money line underdog parlay, the underdog round robin, so much more. Bets are rolling in. Lines are moving. Decisions need to be made. As our volume podcast boss, Colin Coward, likes to say, there's a sea of money out there. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right, it's Thursday. This is when we like to hear how the wise guys are responding to our Tuesday conversation. We move lines. The pros feel compelled to weigh in on what we're saying. Simon, let's do sharp call.
Yeah, let's start with the lines that we disagree on. So off the top, the professionals like the Bears. I like Green Bay. I mean, I don't know if you want to dive into that game more, but
we'll get to it for sure.
I don't agree what they're saying about this Bears team. I think they're kind of missing it here. And all the trends as well point to Green Bay and taking them in this spot. So interesting. They love that one. Cleveland, that's another number that, Chad talked about, gave it out of 3, 2.5. Sharpest number of the week, apparently. That's all the way down to them -1 now for Cleveland. So clearly they love it. I've missed this one. I was going to end up being on the Saints. Now I have to be on the Saints now that this line's flipped. I hate this game. I didn't want to bet it. Now I have to bet it, unfortunately. But the pros, they love that Cleveland side, which is really interesting to me. New England Patriots, I'm on the other side. I like the Rams. I know we're going to talk about this one. I get their viewpoint of it. They like this Patriots defense, you have them at home against outdoor Stafford. I get their reasoning behind it, so I'm looking forward to us breaking down that one even more. And for the last one, we knew this was coming. Buffalo Bills, the professionals love the Bills. They love it. They love the number. They're just like most people thinking this Chiefs team's a little overrated. They like this spot. Josh Allen at home. He is not scared of this Chiefs team. We've seen in his career, it's never honestly been his fault. Even when you go back and watch a lot of those losses, this is never on Josh. It's either wide receiver has a terrible drop, his defense can't stop anything. It's never really been his fault. So I get where they're coming from this one. I'm excited to break this down even more, but nothing changed for me on this one. I still love the Chiefs, and we've seen that number go down now from 2.5 to 2 at most books. So it seems like some professional money has been coming in on this Chiefs now that it kind of reached its peak value at 2.5. So yeah, just off the top, those are the ones we disagreed on. The games we like the same side, Chad, Pittsburgh, no-brainer game we're going to talk about more. Tennessee, another game we'll talk about more, and then Detroit, which we talked on Tuesday. I know Chad didn't do it because he's a good guy, but my personal contest for ours that I do, I locked in that 12.5 on Detroit because I knew it was going up. Now it's up to 13.5, 14 at most books. So there's a couple games I'm happy we're going to be diving into.
Yeah, it's a fascinating board. I do want to talk about that Cleveland game. I bet the Browns at 1.5. I just couldn't
resist it. Yeah.
I like it just didn't make any sense to me. One final order of business. I mentioned this on Tuesday. We are doing another favorites live event. This is a watch party. We're still nailing down some of the final details. There will be an RSVP page available. But what you need to know right now, we're doing it in Philly, the fighting city of Philadelphia. It's a home game for my BFF, Simon Hunter. He's going to get all of his compadres from Philly, South Jersey to come out, but anybody is welcome to come. It's going to be Thursday, December 12th. Great spot called the Wicked Wolf in Center City, Philadelphia. There's going to be drinks, live Q&A with me and Simon. Matt Mitchell is going to be there. It's going to be in advance of the Thursday night football game for the Rams and the Niners. We're going to have sort of a happy hour pregame, drinks and Q&A with me and Simon and Matt. And then we're all going to hang out. We're going to watch that Rams 49ers game. We're going to bet our faces off in Philly where it's legal. We're going to enjoy, and we're all going to have a blast. Mark your calendars. Start making plans. We'll let you know when to and where to RSVP. All right, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. First game on the board. Steelers +3. This was our Simon Says, Simon. And like, I think there are real statistical matchup reasons for doing this. I think the Steelers' offensive strength, especially running the ball, they are an advantage. The Steelers' offensive strengths throwing the ball recently are an advantage against the Ravens' defensive weaknesses, and vice versa, by the way. Like, the Ravens' strength running the ball is an advantage against the Steelers' defense. We're playing the percentages. We're playing the long-term ROI. Like, when these teams are grossly uneven, it favors the underdog. I will go through every single stat, the litany of facts, but I want to throw it to you first.
Yeah, the biggest one to me is definitely going to be the fact that I don't think the books have accounted enough for Kyle Hamilton being out of this game. So we have a defense that's already suffering. Now you have arguably the best safety in all of football, a guy who can play every spot on the field, a guy who he just can tell by the way the team's lining up when he's going to blitz or when he's going to back out into coverage. Like, he was incredible, and he traveled all over the field. That's why I wanted to grab. I just knew it was going to come down. Well, as soon as I saw that it was 3.5, it was just like, okay, this will come down to 3. And the books were going to get a ton of public money, and they haven't budged, Chad. Like, I talked to a lot of bookmakers. It's all Ravens money right now for the most part. I mean, a lot of people obviously are taking the Steelers team in the money line, but we've seen it early here. It's just been Ravens money. So we obviously know the trends back it up here, but I just think the matchup on the field does as well, where we've seen this team and the Ravens struggle with the deep ball. That's all Pittsburgh wants to do. They want to attack you downfield. They love anything above 20 yards. They want to attack you. And it all starts with the run game. So Arthur Smith knows that. It's like, okay, we'll run it down their throat. Eventually the linebackers will step up. They'll suck in. We'll get one-on-ones, especially across the middle. And that's where Russell Wilson's been great this season. So a home dog Tomlin, we were already going to love it. the fact that we're getting such a good number, it's still at 3. To me, it just makes it a no-brainer. It's just a spot we can't avoid. We love these type of numbers in this type of spot.
Yeah, it's every reality says take the Steelers here. I always get nervous with this because how does this trend continue to hold? We've got a couple spots here where we are today, where we're going to just be leaning into what has historically happened, not overthinking, not letting our eyes deceive us, not trying to be smart, not saying this is going to be the time where it all falls apart. Last 20 years, the underdog in this series, 74% against the spread. In the regular season, when the line is 3 or more, underdog, 22, 4, and 3. Underdog, 15, 2, and 1 against the spread since 2015. In the regular season, underdog, 23, 6, and 3 against the spread when Mike Tomlin faces John Harbaugh. Mike Tomlin, 20 and 15 straight up, 18, 14, 3 against the spread versus John Harbaugh. So everything says Steelers, Steelers, Steelers. And by the way, if it was the other way, it would be Ravens, Ravens.
Yeah,
Ravens.
that's really has to do with Lamar too as a dog, right? Lamar as a dog.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one with that, what you're talking about. So you're
And
right.
so
We love both sides as dogs.
we love both. We just love the dogs in this spot. Underdogs in the AFC North divisional games. Thank you, Evan Abrams, by the way, for all these. You got to check out his story that comes out on Wednesdays where he breaks down every game with these cool stats. Underdogs, 47-31 against the spread, 60% since 2018. So book it, Steelers. We might get burned. Obviously, we think we could get burned here, but
yeah, it's not 100% success rate.
Nothing is 100% success rate. It's positive EV. Like,
yeah,
this is what we think is going to happen. And I'm not going to overthink it on this. Like, I'm not going to get crazy. We're just going to play what we have always played. If this was Duck Hodges and the Steelers were +3, I don't even think we'd be having a conversation. We'd 100% be betting the Steelers. I think we'd be more confident if the Steelers were actually.
Yeah, and it's also in our contest, it's still 3.5. So it's just like not only you're getting great value, but you're getting a great number
Done.
as well.
Done. Minnesota, Tennessee. Tennessee's a 6-point dog here. Look, the number says play the home dog. It's a defense whose strengths match up to a, turning into a pumpkin quarterback. The trends say fade the road favorite with a win percentage of 75 or more. It's only 43% against the spread. The reality, Will Levis versus a Brian Flores defense. And if you want to talk about the highest rankings for any defense in pressure and blitz rate and total pressures raw and total blitzes raw, it's going to be Brian Flores. If you want to talk about the quarterback who struggles the most in the NFL in that scenario, it's Will Levis. So I know that we want to do the ugly thing here. I kind of want no part of this game.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, my main thing is it's just, yeah, Will Levis might struggle and be bad in this game, but same could be said for Sam Darnold. And now we do have data on him where, he's been a favorite 10 times of 3 points or more in his career. He's 3-7 against the spread in those games. So we've seen him struggle as big favorites. Now, I told you the negative for me is that the numbers come down. If I want to put it in if it's 6.5, but I told you I'm not here to force us in to taking this at 6 and 5.5. It's like I want a good number when I'm backing such a terrible quarterback in Will Levis. But you're right. Like, don't need to force this one in, but it's a spot I have to bet, and it's just it's buying low on this Tennessee team. Even last week, like in my moneyline round robin. One of the legs was the Patriots paired with the Jaguars. And it's like, I knew at the time everyone was like, there's no way the Jaguars are going to beat that team. But you saw how it could happen, right? If you have a quarterback that's just playing terrible, like Sam Darnold's been playing, teams are going to stay in these games. So I'm with you. This is an ugly one that I'm happy to avoid. But at 6.5, if it is that, Chad, in our contest, I might force you to take it.
Well, I think we're going to have five pretty good options, and I do think we're going to have to
True.
race onto the site after this show because there's going to be a game that we want to get in before they become the favorite, and that is the Cleveland Browns, who at Bet365 are still 1 point underdogs at the New Orleans Saints. We talked about it on Tuesday. I can't get out of my head. Like, I don't know why the Saints are still favored here. It might not last much longer. Like, there's a couple spots where the Saints are a 0.5 point favorite now. Opened at what, 2.5 on Sunday when we first identified it. Our only mitigating factor here is Jameis. Other than that, like, how are we not betting the better defense, the healthier team off a bye with a superior coach against a team that basically just won the game it had to win and might not win again all year and has zero receivers and a quarterback who under pressure is a much different quarterback than he is when he is not under pressure, which is why we liked him last week.
Yeah,
We
you're
got to be
right.
on the Browns here, Simon. Be on the Browns with me.
I'm not. I mean, I guess I'm fine with you putting them in, but I told you I wanted to avoid this game because I don't really have a good read on it. I just don't trust either of these quarterbacks right now. And I'm with you. I'm trying to find a reason to take this Cleveland team. You're right. Maybe it's the number and that's where the value is. But for me, there's other games I'd rather bet on. So this could be your game. If you want to stand behind it, you're confident in it. I believe in you. You can put this one in. But for me, I'm sorry, Chad. As we sit here Thursday, I just can't get there.
Why? Is it just because of Jameis?
Yeah, and just the Browns in general, they're terrible this year. And we've seen them struggle when they get behind and it's a huge game for Jameis. Like this is him coming back to a team that let him go. And he's in his feelings. Jameis is a crazy person in his own head. So that's just my fear here is he's just going to be trying to do too much. That's what you don't want. If I knew that this was going to be a heavy Nick Chubb type of game and I would feel really confident like what you're talking about. This is a nice spot to fade this Saints team off a win that me and you both agree they got pretty lucky to get. So I agree with your view of it that the number's probably right with Cleveland. I'm just not confident in this Cleveland side. Is he gone? Thank you.
Wikey, that Stefanski knows his best option is to run the ball, that he's got a healthy offensive line, that he can keep the clock running, that he's got a defense that can be in Derek Carr's face, that the Saints probably should have lost that game last week. They got lucky winning it. Like, I can believe all this.
All right, we'll put it in then.
I want to put it in. I want to own it. I'll own it. But Simon, it is not our big balls bet of the week presented by Tommy John. If you've got the balls, Tommy John has the support. Great games start with great underwear. Tommy John makes the greatest. I believe we won our big balls last week. It was the Saints, if I'm not mistaken. So this week we're doing something we have never done in the history of our show. How long have you and I been together? What is it?
It's our 6th season.
This is our 6th season? In 6 seasons, we have never gone big balls on a 2-touchdown favorite. Yet here we are. I bet the Lions at -13. It's in the app. I saw it moving to 13.5 at a couple of Connecticut books and wanted to get the 13 while I could. It's up to 14 at a lot of places. So that's the consensus. I feel like we're entering the law of big numbers territory. It becomes impossible for teams and quarterbacks to continue to outperform their previous success and the market. It's why Patrick Mahomes' ATS record as a favorite of more than 3 is so low. Like the public expectations are so high. It's just not possible to consistently beat them. And I feel like we're reaching that point with the Lions. But I don't care. Like, there's no reason not to bet them here.
Yeah, but we've seen the trends as well point to that. These big favorites have done well these last couple of years. Like it's been profitable to take these favorites of 10 points or more. And Jared Goff specifically, he's made 9 starts, 11-2 or 9-2 straight up in those starts as a big favorite, 7-4 against the spread as a big favorite of 10 points or more. So I'm trying not to let it scare us off. The biggest thing to me is just the fact that they didn't cover last week, Chad. Like we've talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it this year because they've been a covering machine. But basically, me and Chad blindly bet the Lions after they don't cover. And people always ask us why. And it's pretty simple. We point to a trend of Lions fail to cover their previous game. Goff 14-4 against the spread with Detroit, including 9-2 at home against the spread. So it's just really a spot. Like we already like the number. We like that it's Mac Jones going against his defense. And it feels like that was the Jaguars' everything game last week, outdoors in the muck. And don't they just lay down at this point? Isn't this a team that's just going to roll over and die? Especially if the Lions just come out and they're humming. That was a throwaway game last week by Goff. The guy threw, 5 interceptions? You expect him to have a huge bounce back spot and this offense to have a bounce back spot, especially against this Jaguars team. So shop around. I'm seeing a 13 still out there. So you can still get a good number on this. For this show, though, we'll take it at 14 because that's what it's at on Bet365.
Double-digit favorites this year. Just because it's a double-digit favorite doesn't mean it's a bad bet. Jared Goff 11 times. His teams are 9-2 straight up, 7-4 against the spread. This would be the second time since joining the Lions. He closes as a double-digit favorite. The other one was a few weeks ago. They beat the Titans 52-14.
And just to clean it up, double digits favorites this year, 4-0 against the spread.
Didn't I just say that?
Yeah, but you cut out.
Oh, I did?
Yeah. I know what I'm doing here, Chad.
All right. Well, sorry. Look.
I want to just give that style because it just shows how things have changed. Like I really love taking double-digit favorites, and this year is kind of showing you it's moved the other way, where if the books are really pushing it above 10, they really need the dog to come through, and that's just not happening this season. That's crazy, the fact that they're 4-0 double-digit favorites this year.
And it's crazy that it is our big balls bet of the week, and we're going to be putting the Detroit Lions in the contest that way. As I said, you can see in the app, I've already taken the Lions. Our sponsor, Tommy John, makes the most comfortable underwear I've ever worn. They've changed my life. When you're truly comfortable, you can bet better, which means taking the Lions as double-digit favorites. If you love Simon and I, if you love this show, you love Tommy John, get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/favorites. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/favorites. All right. We talked about Green Bay and Chicago. Chicago is now down to 5.5. And this was a placeholder game for us. We could not come to a conclusion. You've started to lean in the Packers' direction. To be honest, so do I. I think we wanted to see a little bit about how the market moved. The past 2 decades, I used this stat last week for the Niners against the Bucks, and we were on the Niners. It didn't work out, but they dominated and should have won that game going away. Over the past 2 decades, road faves off of a bye cover at a 60% clip. The number is 70% when the spread is 5.5 or higher. Why do you think the wise guys are on the Bears, Simon? Why do you want to be on the Packers?
Because they're like me. They're old school. It's a divisional home dog that's getting less than 10% of the bets, less than 10% of the tickets. This is what professionals do. And this is why, again, bookmakers need people like us, because we bet the other side that no one's betting. So they're not going to catch me on this one, though. I was a sucker. I think it was 5-6 years ago where I thought Roger was kind of heading down the other side of his career. I know it sounds stupid now, but this is when he was still with McCarthy. Little did I know he was about to win 2 MVPs after that. But I was always like, okay, they'll finally catch this Green Bay team. Especially I got sucked in when you guys had Mitch Trubisky. It doesn't matter if your team's good, if Green Bay's on the other side. They just always beat you guys. It's the most bizarre thing right now. The relationship between Green Bay, Like the Brett Favre era, they dominated. The Aaron Rodgers era, they dominated. And then Jordan Love, who's not even been that good as a favorite, for some reason though, he plays really well against this Bears team. So 5.5 now, Chad. I'll join the public. I'll take the number, but I'm happy that we don't have to make this one over 5 because I'm just not super confident in betting in Jordan Love as a big favorite.
No, I'm not either. I am more confident in betting Matt LaFleur. So even though it's not
Right.
going to end up being our contest play, Matt LaFleur on extended prep, 7-3 against the spread when favored by 4 points or more. That's the fourth best mark amongst 99 head coaches over the past 20 years. And also, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers. I will say, kudos to Chris Raybon. Chris Raybon, when we first launched Action Network 7 years ago, started writing about Aaron Rodgers being on the downslope of his career. And then everyone stopped talking about it because he had sort of a resurgence with Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, he
But
won
all that stuff,
two MVPs.
yeah, all that stuff has come back to fruition, by the way. He wasn't that off. He was actually pretty spot on.
Well, let's
All
real
right.
quick breaking news, Chad. Eagles are up to -4.
Well, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
Now I can't bet him. You know what? You know what? I don't care. Go Eagles. I might take
There
a
you go.
flyer on the Eagles at -4. Rams -4.5 at New England. Another one. I think you and I have sort of come to an agreement here independently. We both kind of like the Rams. And we know that the wise guys are on the Patriots here, but off a home loss as a favorite last week, they're now road favorites, field goal or more. Those teams 58% against the spread since 2003. 29, 15, and 2 since 2020. I don't know. McVay in this spot, he's great on short rest. Like with Stafford as a QB, he's great on short rest. I'm actually surprised at the wise guy love for the Patriots in this spot. It feels like you'd want to sell the Patriots right now and buy the Rams because this was another one. The Rams kind of dominated the Dolphins.
Yeah, and it feels like we're getting a great number. Like it's down to 4.5, like you just said on this Rams team. That to me is there's too much line movement right now, and to pass on this value. This should be at 6, like you said. This Rams team coming off just their worst offensive output this season, and there's no excuse, right? They had all their guys back. They had their offensive line back. They had Puka in the lineup. They had Cooper Kupp. No excuse. That was just a totally fall on their face, terrible game by them. How do we not bet on the bounce back? The veteran quarterback with a great head coach. This is the spot you dominate, right? Going up against the rookie head coach and the rookie quarterback after they just had a huge road win. Like this Patriots team is going to be feeling themselves all week, and then on the flip side, this other team is going to be raging. So the Rams have to roll here. If they don't, Chad, I don't know what kind of purgatory we'll put them into, but it's like this is clearly not a playoff team if they don't come out and dominate this game. This is a team. If this is a game, if you are a legit playoff team who's going to make a wild card run, you have to win this game, and you have to kind of put it away by, I think, 7 points or more. So I love this number, and I'm happy you're on the same side with me.
Yeah, to me, this feels like a no-brainer for the contest. The only question is, we had the Rams as a foxhole last week. Do we want to go Rams foxhole again? Because we are clearly on the opposite side of the professionals.
I love it.
Let's do it. Let's put the Rams in the foxhole. We are in the fox. I can't think of a better tandem to be in with than Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. We love betting on Matthew Stafford. I'm not afraid of it. We're going in the foxhole with the Los Angeles Rams -4.5 against the New England Patriots. Another game. I love this one too. And you and I have not talked about it enough. Colts +4 at the New York Jets. Went from 4 to 3.5 since we last met. Also, since we last met, Anthony Richardson back in the starting lineup. Soon after that, the line moved back to Colts +4. Are you as in love with the Colts in this game as I am?
No, I'm
No,
not. No,
you're
but
not.
I'm betting it because I think it's a good number. And I don't think this Jets team should be a 4-point favorite against anybody. But I don't know the mood of the team, Chad. Like everything outside the numbers and all the data, the human element of this is what scares me because we talk about it. I don't like when teams have their owners making all the decisions. And I said it from the get go. There was something funky about the whole way they made Flacco the quarterback. The team reacted to it negatively. Flacco turned back into a pumpkin. He didn't handle it well either. And now it's all back onto Anthony Richardson's shoulders. And he's what, 22, 23 years old? And the guy's made 9 starts. It's just, oh man, it's a brutal spot they're putting this kid in. Like, this is just a year. You should have just let him play it out. This was his rookie season. I hate that the NFL moves so quick to judge these kids because it's what? Because he was 2 for 15 passing in that first half. That's why they did it. It's like, we knew the kid's weaknesses coming out. He was terrible at throwing the ball to the guy underneath. He just literally can't hit it, but he's a great deep ball thrower. So it's like they know what they need to work on. It's all about how he attacks it these next couple of years, but his mental might be shot now. We don't know what this kid's gone through these last couple of weeks. So that's why it's like I'll bet it. It's the same thing. Like, I'd rather do Cleveland than take this number with you, Chad. It's like this one we're strictly betting the number. At least Cleveland, I can see them winning. Like, I think they are the better team than the Saints, where the Jets are the better team. They're just another team that's just lost overall. Like you said, they don't have a head coach. That's a huge advantage to that Colts team. So that's another reason why I'm playing that +4 number. So it's just a number that I'm not confident. There's other games I'd rather bet, but Anthony Richardson, we'll see how he can handle adversity. Like, this is a huge game where if they win this could change their whole season. If they lose it, we could easily just see this keep getting worse and worse for this Colts team. Because this Jets team, we said it last week, they look like they quit. So we'll see which one of these teams is ready for a vacation, which team is actually not giving up yet on their season.
Here's why I like this. And this is part of betting, and it's something that every regular bettor has to manage, which is their own personal biases and the things that matter the most to them when they're breaking down these games. And we've generally liked the Colts because we like Shane Steichen as a play caller. At least we did last year. And
still do.
We love their running game, right? Their run blocking unit, #1 in the NFL. Their offensive line, when it comes to run blocking, is elite. Jonathan Taylor is a great running back. Gained more than 100 yards last week against the Bills. It's why we liked that game last week. And if not for the Joe Flacco turning into battered Flacco, then I still contend we covered that game. I know it's a ludicrous argument. If, but like, the Jets' run defense is terrible. We saw it last week. They can't tackle. They're afraid to tackle. They don't want to put their nose in it. If I'm Shane Steichen and I can run the ball and I can dominate that way and I get Anthony Richardson back, then all of a sudden I've got another running threat against a defense that is chaos and really doesn't have anything to hang its hat on right now. So I like it actually more at 4 with Anthony Richardson than I do with Joe Flacco. We don't have to put it in, but my reverse psychology might have worked because now I get to put Cleveland in.
That's fair.
All right. So Atlanta at Denver. Atlanta's 2.5. I'm surprised that didn't come up in sharp calls because I feel like the wise guys are on Denver and you and I both like Atlanta.
Yeah, and it's just a game where it's not honestly as heavy as you think it would be on that Denver team for the professionals. I think they liked the early number, right? They grabbed it when it was 1.5. Now that's up to 2.5. Either guys are avoiding it or people are like you and me, right? We're taking the other side in this. So I don't know where you're at with Atlanta. It's feeling like a little chalky to me. That like it's of course we're taking this. Kirk Cousins a 2-point dog to Bo Nix. I'm just worried there's something I'm missing here because this does feel easy. Like when we talked on Tuesday, it's like I thought this was gonna be one of my bigger bets. I've kind of pulled back from it because there's other games I like more, but it's shocking. It's still 2.5 on this Atlanta team. I just don't know what I'm missing.
Yeah, you know what I put in the notes? I really can't believe this line hasn't moved.
Yeah,
like it turned me off in the same way I think it turned you off the past 48 hours. And again, you and I haven't talked about it. I like things to be fresh for the show, but I have not put much. I don't think I put any money on the Falcons yet.
I did bet it, but I'm with you. It's like I bet it. I'm like, should I just put that much money I just put on that? Like I should have been patient. So we'll see.
It's not a contest play to me. And I think on Tuesday, if you had asked me on Tuesday, I was probably gung ho putting this in the contest, and it's definitely faded out of the top 6 or 7 for me at this point. Like Kirk Cousins off a loss, straight up off a loss. He's great, but I do worry about the pressure that the Broncos can get on Kirk Cousins in this game and the lack of pressure the Falcons can create for Bo Nix, who's just clearly getting more and more confident each and every week. And if I'm the Broncos, I'm emboldened by what happened against the Chiefs. Like I look at that and think, wait, we can play here. Like this was not us like being a bad team. This was just they made a great play in the exact right spot. They're the champions. What can we learn from this? I don't know. I'm a little more nervous about it than I was. So I'm glad we're on
Agreed.
the same page. Meanwhile, I mentioned up top with the Steelers, we're just going to keep playing with fire, right? The Steelers +3 every week we say, rah rah Mike Tomlin, and we take it, even though it feels kind of chalky and cliche at this point. Same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are now 2-point dogs at Buffalo. It's come down from 2.5. This was my exact decision this week. The wise guys, you said they were on Buffalo. They bet it up to 2.5, a little bit of buyback. All the precedent tells you not to overthink it. You said it on Sunday. You said it again on Tuesday. Do not go too deep into the matchup. Take Patrick Mahomes. Why don't the wise guys agree with us?
I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons. I honestly think it's all about what groups you talk to, and I would say that some guys are like me that just they've learned from going against Mahomes in the past that there's just don't listen to your model. Stop thinking you know more. You just bet Mahomes. It's that kind of thing. Where the other side is just we all know what they know, right? This Chiefs team isn't that good as people perceive. They've gotten extremely lucky this season. They do have injuries that affected this team, like losing their number one receiver and their number one running back. That's a huge thing to a team like that need those explosive plays, right? And we've kind of seen they've just figured it out where they've dinked and dunked their way down the field now. They're kind of back to what they were last year of just a slow, ugly, drag it out kind of offense, and that relies heavily on their defense. And when we look at this matchup, the biggest thing to me is just the pattern we've talked about that we think that we've nailed with the Bills and this team this season, which is if they're playing a bad team, they can roll you. I mean, we've seen it now with Joe Brady in this offense, him calling it. They can run it down teams' throats if they're able to. The Chiefs aren't that type of team. And, we saw it with Houston. They struggled. They lost by 3, and then they got rolled by that Ravens team. So we've seen them face good playoff teams, and they've lost this year, this Buffalo team. And here comes the Chiefs. We perceive to be a good playoff team. I just think it's going to be tight. And that 2.5, which is such a key number we always talk about, that felt like to me that's where all the value was on this number. So Mahomes is the dog. We know Brain want to be on it. The fact that we were getting 2.5, I mean, shop around, people. We just said it's 2 now at Bet365. There's still a couple 2.5s out there. Make sure you grab that number. We always talk about such a key number. So I am surprised that the money has moved this number back down because it seemed like the books were going to take a position, right? When they moved all the way up to 2.5, I don't know if you agree with me. I was like, oh, this might get to 3. Like they're clearly taking a position here on the Bills. They think they have a good read on it, but they've humbly moved it back down. So it seems like even the books are a little unsure how to price this game on this number.
I was convinced on Monday when it didn't get to 3, because it got to 2.5 right away, that it was just staying there. So I bet it at 2.5, Kansas City on Monday. It's been holding. I'm not surprised at all now that it's gotten back down to 2. I wouldn't be surprised if come Sunday, we've seen so much money, especially since betting became legal, come in on Sunday between 11 and 1. So it's like so hard to be patient during the week and like know that you might be able to get the number you want on Sunday. I actually think the number is going to get lower. I think it's going to go in the direction of the Chiefs because it's the Chiefs. They're undefeated. Most people are going to want to bet them.
Oh, the
Most
money
fans,
line, the teaser exposure, they're
yeah.
getting hammered right now with it.
I think like if you want the Chiefs, get it now because I don't think it's going to get any better for you. Couple stats to keep in mind. We've mentioned them before. Mahomes 11-3 straight up as an underdog, 12-1-1 against the spread. This is the best straight up mark as a dog in the Super Bowl era for a QB with at least 10 starts. Of course, that one against the spread loss came as an underdog in 2022 at home against Josh Allen and the Bills. They lost by 4. It's a 2.5 point underdog. Also, 26-8-1 in his career as a favorite of 3 or fewer. That is Mahomes. And the other thing I will say, like the Bills are not in a great spot health wise. We talk about the Chiefs and Isaiah Pacheco not back this week, or Rashee Rice, he's out, right? But Keon Coleman not playing. Dalton Kincaid has a cast on his hand. Amari Cooper not playing. They've got some issues on their offensive line. They're not perfect right now, so there are reasons to think the Chiefs have a little bit of a shot here. Last game that we want to talk about. This was an alternate foxhole, so I do want us to go through it. We're sort of leaning Chargers right now, -1.5 against the Bengals. We've been maybe we're like on the wrong side of the wave now with the Chargers because we've avoided the Chargers. We've said they're a little bit too vanilla. We didn't believe they were good enough to beat good teams. Now all of a sudden we've changed our tune and they could beat a good quarterback, which they haven't done this year. They've lost to Mahomes. They've lost to Kyler Murray. But maybe we're snake bitten. They've basically done things. They don't do the things that have burned us the most. They don't make bad coaching decisions. They don't make bad penalties at the worst possible time. They don't turn the ball over. So now we like the Chargers. We're not going to put them in the contest, I don't think. But give me your take here.
I wouldn't mind putting him in. I love the Chargers in this spot. This is probably going to end up being one of my bigger bets. I just love the number, love this team. And the biggest thing I love about them is that they're not the Cincinnati Bengals team, Chad. I think this is one of the more overrated teams this season. You're like me, though. You love Joe Burrow, and he kind of blinds you to it.
Love them.
They're not good, this Bengals team. And I've thought that all season. And I remember I was giving you a hard time when you took them against the Eagles. And it's just like, I think they're going to struggle against good defenses. And they've been very fortunate this season. They really haven't faced many good defenses. And, the public is a little blind to it right now because we just saw them put up 41 against the Raiders 2 weeks ago. Then last week in a primetime game, they put up 34. Like, people right now are just like, this offense is a juggernaut. They're unstoppable. We'll see. Like, they're about to face another really good defense, and I think that's going to be the difference here is the Chargers, they'll be patient. They'll wait. Joe Burrow is going to force one in there. They'll make him make a mistake, and that's when this Chargers team, to me, will kind of take this game by the reins and take a lead. So this is going to be, to me, the biggest public side of the week. Every bookmaker I've talked to, basically every teaser they've gotten so far is a Chiefs-Bengals teaser. Like, they just can't stop taking those type of teasers right now, which makes total sense. You're getting Joe Burrow up to 7.5, which is a pretty good number against this Chargers team in most people's minds. But I could see this Chargers team rolling. It's just a team that's kind of been slept on this season. Like you said, we've even slept on them where we were just unsure about what their identity was going to be. And they've taken on just this really smart team that plays stout defense. And I think that's something that's going to give trouble to this Bengals team. So even if this does turn into a QB battle, I'm not too thrown off with it being Herbert and his weapons. It feels like he's gotten more comfortable here down the road. So do I wish this one kept going down? It would have been great to get the Chargers a dog. I thought it would keep moving that way. This number has not budged, despite just about 90% of the money, 9% of the tickets coming in on that Bengals side. So we talk all the time. There's certain games I like to dig my heels in on. This is going to be one of them. A primetime game, which everyone's on a road dog, usually is not good for these people.
Well, when you say you're digging your heels, it feels like you want to take a position and put him in the contest. And now we're going to have a challenge because I think we got, as I see it, 7 games we like for the contest, so we'll have to narrow it down after the show. I think the games that we like the most: Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Detroit. Um, we like the Rams, Kansas City, the Chargers. I think that's actually 6. So it's going to come, maybe it's coming down to the Chargers and the Browns. Maybe it's coming down to the Chargers and the Rams. Are we going to want like a road favorite in there and a big favorite and a short home favorite that's going against what the public is doing? It's going to be exciting. Each week we give out a 2-team money line underdog parlay. Bet365 boosts the odds and highlights it on their site all weekend under both game pages. Remember, both games are eligible for Bet365's early payout promo, where your money line pick gets marked as a win if that money line pick takes a 17-point lead, even if they lose. I've benefited from this myself. If you want to bet this, bet it at Bet365. This week's boosted parlay: Steelers plus the Chiefs. Find the boost under either the Steelers or Chiefs game page on Bet365. So, Simon, this is where I thought we would land for our underdog round robin. Tell me if you disagree. Okay. Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Cleveland.
Cleveland is -110, so I'm gonna make you sadly have to take that one out. Let's go with let's pair up another long shot with that Colts one, because we're getting to the point of the season where it's like you want to take these ugly dogs. They're like, just like the Patriots last week. Every now and then they're randomly going to keep popping. How do we not throw Tennessee in?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
I know. Like, no one's betting them. They're plus 205. Come on. This would be such a shocker, and I love those type of bets.
All right, give me your biggest bets then right now. You mentioned the Chargers. What are your biggest bets?
They're not yet Chargers, because like I said, I thought the public would really hammer that number on the Bengals, and I'd get a better number, but it looks like I'm just going to have to suck it up and take this -1.5. 2.5, Chiefs. If you can still find it, that's no doubt about it. One of my bigger bets. Pittsburgh, I was hoping we'd still get the 3.5, Chad. We've seen now the books are going to hold now on the 3. I haven't broken yet. Like, my early heavy money was on the 3.5. Haven't touched the 3 yet. I'm going to give in. This will be one of my bigger bets if it just stays at the 3. I don't hate taking the 3. I just want the 3.5. You know how it is. So those two, they jump out right away. And then right now, I mean, shockingly, Detroit, I've just been hammering it. At 13, I was just all over it. 13.5, I've played a little bit. At 14, I've slowed down a little bit just because it's hitting that point of, I don't think they're going to push, but it's like the value obviously have shifted at this point. But I really do love Detroit in this spot with this number.
And I love that about you. I love that you and I independently, who says we can't adjust? Fucking love that you and I are both going balls to the wall on a 2-touchdown favorite in the Detroit Lions. Here we go, Detroit Rock City. Yeah. Scooch roulette. Last week we both lost. Who's your pick this week?
I mean, depends. Will they let me get Chiefs 2.5, or do I have to go off Bet365 number? Let me check.
I'll give you Chiefs 2.5.
All right, I appreciate it. Yeah. Give me the boring, the safe play. I need to get back on my winning ways. Give me Chiefs 2.5.
So I narrowed it down to the Rams, Detroit, and Indy. And the fact that you love Detroit as much as you do, if you can give me the lowest available price on Detroit that is on the board anywhere, I want to take Detroit.
There's a 13 out there.
All right, then I'm taking Detroit -13.
The most public book there is, so.
Doesn't matter. I'll take it. Customer-friendly decisions have been made. I'm getting a customer-friendly line.
It's true.
Listen, before we get out of here, let's bring in our Director of Research, Evan Abrams, for the final word. He's going to make us feel so much better about everything we've said today.
Would have been crazy a few years ago just to hear that we were starting a game down 14 points and we had the Lions, but that's where we sit today. All right, let's talk about the Chiefs because that's the game of the weekend. Here's a nugget I kind of drew up here. If you like Kansas City, you're going to like where this is headed. So since the Patriots' undefeated season in 2007, we've had just 3 undefeated teams lose 3 consecutive games against the spread or more, where the Chiefs right now are on a 3-game ATS losing streak. That is the 2020 Titans, the 2018 Rams, and the 2009 Saints. After that 3-game ATS losing streak, those teams went 3-0 straight up and against the spread, covering by 23.5 points per game after that streak. Why I'm telling you this, if you like Kansas City and you think being undefeated, even though that Denver field goal was one way or the other, isn't an accident, then covering by a lot is coming. So that is a positive aspect of looking at the 3-game ATS losing streak they're on.
That's how I'm looking at it, Evan.
I know. Pittsburgh, you've said a lot about Tomlin. I just want to give you 2 more fun things. So his teams have faced Lamar 4 times. He's 3-1 straight up and 4-0 against the spread. That's the good part because usually after you face Lamar a time or 2, he ends up getting back at you, and that hasn't happened with Tomlin. One of the reasons might be how he does against the run game. So when Tomlin is a dog facing a rush offense averaging 4+ yards per carry, he's 25-8 against the spread. When that moves to 4.5 yards per carry, it's 11-4 against the spread. And that's exactly what they're going to have to do is stop the run. Let's go to the Colts for a second. So the Jets, and this just gets crazier every week, but the Jets are 3-7 straight up, a 30% win percentage. They are 4-point favorites. Teams 33% win percentage or less, favored by 4 or more, 40% ATS last 20 years. They are 13-28 against the spread, 32% over the last decade. If you like Indy, it's just a straight numbers play. And I got one for the Rams. So this one, I literally just checked again 10 minutes ago because I wanted to make sure it was true. As a big favorite on the road, McVay has been nearly flawless. As a favorite of above 4 points on the road, he is 17-0 straight up in his career. Never lost. So hopefully that continues this weekend against New England for you guys, but that's what I got today, Chad.
Wow, Simon, that's going to make some of our decisions today really difficult. I'm excited. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right, Simon and I back for the next episode of The Favorites on the Action Network YouTube page Sunday night, 7:30 Eastern. We'll recap Week 11. We'll get ahead of Week 12. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars. Say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until next time, love you.